and we'll call on you. Greg Carey.
Bob, the challenges of Zach Edey and the 7-4, the problems that he can present. How do you go about preparing for him, and what kinds of things have you seen from him that have enabled him to be so successful early in this season?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of hard work that Matt and his guys put into helping him. I mean, I saw him when he first signed at Purdue, and he's come a long way. But he's always had great hands. I think that's the great hands in 7-4. But they've done a terrific job with him. Spent a lot of time with him, and a 7-4. Our biggest guy, 6'10". What's that? 6 inches.
Go to Greg Hunter.
Bob, 3 games in 4 days. Does this help you late in the season in tournament time, conference tournament, NCAA tournament, when you have this kind of quick turnaround?
That's a long way away. long way away. It helps us because we're playing quality people. It helps us because we're playing well-coached teams. That's an all-star coaching group out there. It's not just really good teams, but they're really good coaches, and so their teams are going to be prepared. I'm sure looked at a lot of film, as have we. And I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's we do one of these virtually every year, and it's kind of fun. It's a little colder than like Mexico or the Bahamas or Myrtle Beach or Charleston was, but we got jackets. We'll be all right.
Question goes to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, I mean, obviously, this tournament, I think it just came around, a few years ago. It's not really as traditional as some of the other ones, but obviously, it honors Phil Knight and his contributions to the game. I know you've built a relationship with him over the years, and has helped West Virginia become an elite Nike school and that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of wondering how your relationship with Mr. Knight began and started, and were you always a Nike guy? If you could just kind of give us some background on how you got established with Nike.
They came to me when I was at Akron about us becoming a Nike school, and that was at Janka, and then after that you get invited to go to the whatever it is that they put on a heck of a deal and do it at different places, usually around the ocean, and all the Nike coaches go, which was really a good thing because you got to meet and know all the players, and Coach PK was there and his wife, and everybody kind of got to know him, and he was very gracious. So it's been a long time, man. It's been since Akron. We became a Nike school at Akron, and then I went to Cincinnati, and I think it probably less than a year in, we became a full-fledged Nike school at Cincinnati, and then I went to K-State, and they wanted me to see if I could do it there, and so we became a Nike school there. And then obviously coming here, I think Nike was excited to get the Mountaineers on board.
Obviously, when you were at Akron was sort of like when Jordan was just kind of beginning to take off in the NBA, and obviously his rise and Nike's rise kind of go together. Through the years, what has Nike and Phil Knight, meant to college basketball, and what was it like with Nike, in those early days when they were, they were just kind of another name back then? when you were at Akron.
Yeah, I think, yeah, back then, I think there were, when you took a look at it, there were different schools had different shoe companies. And I don't know if it's little by little, but Nike kind of took it by storm.
Yeah.
And so they obviously have their pick of the litter. I think it's the way you get treated. They were fantastic. I mean, you go to one of those events or really it was a vacation. And it was, I mean, you name a coach and I'll tell you, yeah, he was there. and of course, Michael was there. Charles was there. A lot of the NBA guys who were Nike guys were there, and you went and bowled together. You did different, they had different kind of like event things set up but mostly, you sat around the pool and do what you do best, Justin.
Right. I never pictured you as a bowler.
Well, when, Michael was throwing it between his legs and David Robinson was breaking pins and, it was, I was more a spectator, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Coach.
Move on to Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, Bob, this is off the subject a little bit, but with what's going on in the athletic department over there at the school and being without an athletic director right now, has that had any effect on you? Do you have any opinion on what is swirling around you?
Bob, probably very little. I met with Rob, but I mean, we really didn't discuss anything, I mean, they're in the process of doing what they do. And obviously I'm in the process of doing what I do.
So it's life as usual, huh?
I wouldn't say usual, but because I'm having to field a lot of calls from various people, but yeah, I mean, it's I just need to do my job, and let them do theirs.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Go back to Greg Hunter.
So Bob, you mentioned you're going to find out a lot about your team at this tournament. What are the things that you're most anxious to find out?
Well, we're last in the league in rebounding, which if you'd asked a couple of our guys, they would tell you that's because we make more shots than you usually make. There might be some truth to that. We got to guard better, Greg. We really haven't guarded very well. We've got to guard a whole lot better. There's some more things that we'd like to be able to get into the arsenal, and this, I think, is a good opportunity to see how the things that we're trying to explore a little bit, how they work against quality people. And I mean, this kind of particularly with the younger guys, I mean, this is playing the who's who of college basketball. I mean, you look at the names there, and I think everybody recognizes the names and who's coaching them and who their great players were over the years and so forth and so on. So I think you look at it as an opportunity to put yourself in pretty good standing nationally.
Question goes to John Antoni.
Run the floor, and how do they run the floor?
I'm sorry, John, you broke up at the beginning.
I said, how does their big run the floor, and how do they run the floor?
They run the floor.
Yeah.
They run the floor. I think he probably to a degree picks and chooses his spots, but he runs the floor. I mean, he gets up and down. He's not going to stand at half court. I mean, he gets up and down the floor pretty well. Actually, extremely well for someone that size.
And obviously rebounding is going to be issue number one for you guys right now.
Well, we're last in the league, John. I mean, what do you want us to do? And if you listen to a few of those guys, they'll tell you because they make all the shots, so there isn't any rebounds. So
Right. Well, maybe get up to number 9.
as long as they keep it up,
Go to Mike Casazza.
Morning, Bob. How are you?
Good, Mike.
You've known about this tournament for quite some time, so I'm wondering, in your off-season work with the roster and the transfer portal, you could talk to guys like Trey or Eric or Joe and say, hey, in addition to the Big 12, we got this heavy-duty tournament in November, and you were looking for tougher players and better competitors. Did you throw any of that out there? And if so, how impressed or how influential was their reception to
Only
this
when they
opportunity?
ask. Well, we talked about it when they ask. But I think the biggest thing we sold was opportunity. Was opportunity to be what this program has been, minus a year ago. To get us back to where we are nationally relevant, to get us back to where we're going to play in and not just play in the NCAA tournament, but we're going to advance in the NCAA tournament. And this is a great opportunity for us. This is probably comes as similar to playing in the NCAA tournament as anything anybody could do all year. Probably this in a conference tournament. Yeah, I mean, that's what we sold. We sold West Virginia University. West Virginia University, Morgantown, and the great people of this state and how much they care.
Go back to John Antoni.
I have one more. Going back to your
I
history.
thought that was a hell of an answer, John.
It was a great answer. Yeah, it's so good. I forgot what you said.
Probably didn't write it down either, did you?
No, I didn't. Going back to your days at Cincinnati, you've had a lot of success in these Thanksgiving tournaments. I think. Why is that? Why have you been so successful through the years, playing so well in these?
Well, that's an easy answer. In Cincinnati, I had great players.
Okay.
I mean, you go in with the guys we had, and everybody's like, we got to play those dudes. I mean, we were loaded.
What about here? You've done well here too.
Well, we've had pretty good teams here, minus a year ago. We've had good teams. We've had good teams and good players. What do we got? We got a guy coaching in the NBA. We got another guy working for the Knicks, and we got two guys playing in the NBA. That's pretty good players, John.
What about this one?
What about this group?
And what about this group to be determined?
Yeah, I think to a degree, but I think we have people who have a chance.
Okay.
I mean, and really, that's all you can ask for is a chance. That's all anybody asks for. When I got in this business, I asked for a chance, and then it's what you do with it.
I sense you like the makeup of this team. It seems like a Bob Huggins team from what we've seen through 4 games.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. We don't guard the way our teams have guarded. I mean, you think back, the guys that we've had and how they guard Devin Ebanks. I mean, Devin Ebanks didn't really, he didn't come in thinking he was going to guard, but he came in, and that's what got him in the league. And he had a career with the Lakers for a while. I don't know. Every team's different, John. Every team's different. Every team brings a different faction.
Yeah.
And what you try to do is you try to, you try to make the positives better and obviously try not to have too many negatives.
You did have you had guys diving on the ball on the ground for loose balls when you were 25 in a Penn game. And that's something you haven't had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, that was probably my fault because I probably should have set those guys who didn't dive. And I think these guys understand. I mean, look at our bench. I mean, we have people. It's not like I have to. You're going to play me because you don't have anybody else. And that was the case before.
Fans certainly appreciated it.
Coach Huggins, I believe Bob Huggins has another question for you.
I most certainly do. Bob, I was watching at the football the other day, and it was senior day, and is that becoming extinct? Like you talked about selling WVU and selling the town and all that, and it seems like people are more and more going where they can get money and come in for 1 or 2 years. It's not really traditional 4 or 5 year guys walking anymore. What are your thoughts on that? On what you have to sell?
But that was 100% the NCAA. I mean, so we've had to try to try to make the things that they've come up with over the years. We had to try to make those attractive in some form or fashion. And as you're, I'm sure, well aware, I mean, it seems to change quite frequently as to it used to be if you gave a guy a pencil, you may get the death penalty. Now it's all right to help them get cars or money or whatever else. I mean, I just, to be honest, Bob, it blows my mind that you got to spend $1 million to get a high school guy or a transfer guy. That just doesn't seem possible to me.
It's nice to blame the NCAA and all that, but really the courts threw that on them. Now, maybe it was their fault that they got themselves in that situation by not being.
But Bob, the courts threw it on them because of their arrogance and their inability to say I was wrong. And when the O'Bannons asked for the money that they rightfully deserved, they said, no, we're the NCAA. And so the O'Bannons said, we'll see you in court.
And that's never a good thing.
No, it's not. No, well, it's not for them. It is for the O'Bannons.
Yes.
Depends on which team you're rooting for, Bob.
We will move on to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, I've always kind of wondered about the, these Thanksgiving tournaments. You get so many good matchups and a lot of these tournaments, and the thing of it is, it's November, and come March, I've always I guess I'm looking for your opinion on the grand scheme of these things. How much do they really mean in the totality of what the season actually is?
Well, they mean something because they're factored in. They're a factor whenever the committee sits down and starts ciphering. They matter. I mean, now of course they're going to say, well, that happened 3 months ago or 4 months ago, whatever.
Right.
But it still counts. It still counts in your body of work. What their charge is to look at an entire body of work. Now, do they count the last so many games more? Yeah, they're weighted more. No matter what they say, they're weighted more. I mean, I've been on enough committees and heard. I was on the committee whenever we were supposed to basically fix the whole thing. And that was before Mike Sly passed away, and Mike did a terrific job as the head of the committee. And there were, you name it, the people that everybody knows as big time coaches, if that's what they're called. We're all sitting around the table and we're all trying to come up with a solution to make it better. Like for instance, the Segrin was never in there. And when I was at Akron, that was it. The Segrin was, and the problem with the Segrin is you almost have to, especially when you're at a place like Akron, you have to beat people as bad as you can possibly beat them, because that's the only way you rise.
Right.
So, I mean, there's if you really took the whole thing and broke it down and looked at it, it's pretty complicated. It's pretty complicated, and there's a bevy of things that, if they go your way, they're great. If they don't go your way, it's a pretty good hit. So,
Yeah.
it's, what I think most coaches try to do is try to figure it out as best they possibly can. And playing people early is, I think that's good. I mean, because let's say we go 3-0 out there. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. That puts us in a, I think, a different category of where we are because of a year ago. But, you go 0-3, you're struggling to catch up.
Right. No, I get all that. I guess, say like, the selection committee starts meeting in March, I guess. At that point, do you think, I mean, I seriously doubt if they're talking about, okay, well, this team won the Maui or this team won the battle for Atlantis.
They don't, but just, they don't have to talk about those. They automatically are in there. It's your entire schedule. It's not what you did in your conference. It's your entire schedule. So those things count as much as a game, early on in the Big 12 or the Big 10 or whatever. They count.
Right.
Greg, you're on mute.
Oh, I didn't hear you call me. I'm sorry. I was waiting. Bob, you're going to soon add another player. The difficulty of throwing someone in midstream and sort of getting them up to speed. How tough is that going to be?
I wouldn't think as tough as what people are making it out to be. I mean, I had to do that at Akron. I had to do that at Cincinnati a time or two. I mean, it's the same thing. It's, I play people because they deserve to play. I don't play people because of their name or who they think they are or who somebody else thinks they are. I play them because we're going to try to play the best guys because we're going to try to win. And, that is yet to be seen, who really our best 7, 8, or 9 guys, the guys that are going to play the majority of the minutes are.
Members of the media, do you have any further questions for Coach Huggins? There's no more questions in the queue. One last chance. I believe Justin Jackson comes in just in the nick of time.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, has he started practicing yet? Is he able to practice with you guys now?
No,
No. Okay. So he's got to get clearance just to practice then.
he's got to get, we have a waiver sent into the NCAA and we're waiting for a response.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir.